Hey guys, what's up? Zooch here. I actually recorded this live. I'm a little disappointed because my microphone was off, but I think it's an interesting enough video that I'm going to go ahead and add some commentary anyway. For those who don't know, Slay the Spire has added a challenge mode onto their beta. What the challenge mode is that they add all sorts of difficult conditions that you have to sort of deal with throughout the run. Here I am listing them off. We've got Heirloom, which is they give you a relic. That's great. The other ones are bad though. Restless Journey means you no longer heal at the end of boss fights. Cursed Run means at the end of every boss fight they give you a curse. And then Lethal Enemies gives 3 strength to every enemy. That one's kind of a doozy. So another thing to note, you're not allowed to save your progress. There's no Xing out of a fight and then rebooting it to try to beat it, right? So this is my 2.5 run. I didn't realize that you couldn't save earlier, so when I first heard about it, I booted it up and got to the second enemy, and then I had plans, so I turned it off. Anyway, I don't really count that one, but for full disclosure, this will be technically the third, but sort of the second time I've tried to run through this. The first time I actually tried to run through it, I died to a bunch of birds because they have, attacking me for 24 damage on the first turn. I wisely drafted an Immolate after the end of the first boss. It went great with all these curses and wounds that are in my deck. Another great thing about the deck is I got an early Shuriken, which really dictated the drafting process. I've got a Flash of Steel, which I bought, a Dropkick, which I picked up, and then a Dual Wield to let me copy them. So I tend to end up with a pretty high strength count just purely through the Shuriken, which is great. Other than that, I drafted a lot of Iron Waves because I really wanted to build up my strength while also defending myself. And then finally, I'll note that I think Bandage Up was maybe the MVP. You take a lot of damage in these fights because of all the increased attack, and it certainly carried its weight. Going into this fight, I guess spoiler alert, I won't ruin anything, but I don't know. Didn't really anticipate doing particularly well, so let's see what happens. So my plan here, I'm going to start with Flash of Stealing one of these guys, headbutting the Flash of Steel on top of the deck, drawing it with Shrug It Off, and then Flash of Stealing again. I make a little bit of a boneheaded error by not using these potions. I'm just so used to ignoring potions at Ascension 11, it's just sort of useless. But you should have used them regardless. It just sort of brain farted as I was talking. Anyway, I miss out on 6 damage here, which actually ends up being kind of relevant, because I could have strength potted those. One thing to note is that you're playing this not on any Ascension, I don't think. So you get full potions, which is really nice. So I miss out on 6 damage there. I actually end up attacking with all of these attacks instead of just whirlwinding for a lot because I want to get the increased strength. Unfortunately, it does let this guy survive, which is kind of annoying. And if I'd used the strength pot earlier, he would have just been straight up dead, but what can you do? And here we see it's kind of frustrating that he's not dead. The Sword Boomerang could have just straight up offed this one bird to the left, probably, because I wouldn't have had to use... Well, I guess it would have just done 10, but whatever. So I ended up defending and armamenting, taking a fair amount of damage here. I think by fair amount I take like 7 or something like that. I haven't done the math. No, 15. Alright. Fortunately, I can kill this dude this turn with the Strike. The Strike does 19 damage because it's 9 plus 4, which is 13, plus another 6. And we're going to Twin Strike and Anger. Anger has been kind of an MVP as well with this Shuriken, just being able to constantly have 0 cost attacks has been great. So here I'm debating whether to play this block. I do have Ice Cream to let me sort of carry over the mana, but I think it's more important to just not take any damage at all. Here we're going to take some damage though, that's for sure. Bandage Up, not really carrying its weight right now. It would be better as just a basic defend, I guess. But I do get to carry over a couple mana. And what do I put on top of the deck? I think I just put the Flash on top of the deck. Maybe I'm wrong. The Immolate, because I expect that there's at least one other curse and 2 wounds in my list right now. So I figure Immolate will have a way that I can kill something. I don't draw any curses or wounds, which is annoying. But there's one. So I get to Immolate this thing away. Thank God. And then I actually get to use this top, which is not it's not happening that often. So what would be ideal here is being able to dual wield this drop kick. That would be insane, right? That's what I'm sort of hoping for right now. I might as well offering, right? There's just no harm in it. I take 4 damage, but like it takes an entire turn out of the equation. So unfortunately, I don't draw the drop kick and the dual wield in the same turn. I guess fortunately, it stays on top of my deck, allowing me to do some broken stuff this turn. And I can actually end up drawing some cards here, which is kind of neat. So my plan is to dual wield these Angers to get a bunch of Shuriken triggers, right? I'm already at 17 attack. I don't exactly know how that happened. Oh, I had this seeing spot weakness, right? So these Angers are doing an absurd amount of damage right now. Oh, and I flexed this turn too. That explains some of it. Alright. So thankfully I'm able to kill him this turn, otherwise I would go to 1. And I decide to headbutt the dual wield on top of the deck because I'm like, well, if I hit another Anger, or even better, Flash, then I can copy that and do a ton of damage. And if it's Anger, I get to draw some cards, and if it's Flash, I get to draw some cards as well. Well, Anger, I get to draw cards unless I hit a cursor or something. Anyway, we draw the Flash of Steel, which is great. Each of these do 17 damage. That's basically a free 34 damage. That draws 2 cards. I shrug it off first because I think I'm looking for like a bash, right? Looking for something to make him vulnerable. I don't find it. There it is. A little bit late, but whatever. Spot weakness, also slightly late. Anyway, we're going to drop... I'm thinking here about whether I want to play this defend or save the mana. I end up playing the defend because I'm just not sure how much damage is important at this point in time. It turns out to be sort of a moot point. This Whirlwind just straight up murders him. I have 6 mana and they each deal 40, so we ended up winning. I didn't expect that to happen. Anyway, I'm sorry that the mic was off for the original recording. You can tell I'm quite excited, and I tend to talk quite excited as well, so you can hear the emotion dripping from my original words, or you would be able to. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow and subscribe, and hopefully you can catch me on Twitch. Hope this was helpful.